All right, everybody, welcome back to the Skeptic Fence Show. We have our guest here, now our special guest, John P. Jennings, which is the director of the new documentary film, A Scarlet Letter. John, are you there? How you doing?
Yes, I am here. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
What I would like to do right now is I want to play one of your trailers that you have, the newest trailer that you have, and then we'll get into our question, our Q&A. Does that sound good?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Let's go do it. Let's go do it. Here we go, guys. Here's a trailer to the new documentary film, A Scarlet Letter.
Hi, my name is Nisa,
I'm John.
and we are the director and producer of A Scarlet Letter atheist documentary.
So essentially, our main idea was that we wanted to create a documentary that showed the atheist movement. We've spent the past 2 years going to different communities, talking with different experts, and just finding out the central question of what is it that atheists actually want.
And we've followed them around everywhere from Los Angeles to Long Beach to Washington, D.C. to the middle of the Bible Belt in Missouri.
We didn't want to get just one aspect of atheism or just one side of atheism. We tried talking with a whole bunch of different people coming at it from different perspectives because every person comes at it from a different place. They have a different background, their story's different, they care about different things, they're passionate about different things.
Everything from finding community to separation of church and state. A lot of people are active in civil rights. They clean up freeways. You name it, they do it. They're everywhere.
So they're doing all these tremendous, wonderful things, and you really don't hear too much about it, sadly. I mean, the media likes to cover how atheists are
Baby-eating, devil-worshipping heathens.
maybe not quite to that extreme, although there is a little bit of that. So we have all these people who care deeply about these issues, and really, Nisa and I, we're not the ones doing the hard work. We're just trying to document what these other people are doing and to show the more positive side of atheism, the side you don't really see on your news.
We have one more hurdle to jump.
All we have to do now is get the funds to actually get it out there, which means we need money for clearance costs, for paying for our music and our news footage, creating the DVDs.
You know, that this movie is all about humanity and community and changing perceptions one idea at a time, one person at a time. I think in small measures like this, the more movies that come out, the more books that come out, I think we'll find that the change is slowly happening so where we can all kind of be together and coexist and look out for the greater good, which is people.
I just also want to thank everybody who's already contributed. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for liking us on Facebook. Thank you for being there and showing just a wonderful community.
Thank you so much, and we hope you like our film.
That's great.
Thank you.
Here we go. My first question is, and then Matthew and Annette will go after me. My first question is, give us a little background on who is John P. Jennings. Who are you? What do you enjoy? What are your goals that you might have in life? You know, maybe if it pertains to like atheism or something like that, like your endeavors.
Yeah. Well, I'm originally from a really small town in the Midwest. There were actually about 500 people in the town I grew up in, really small. So it was obviously church was the center of the community. And I did grow up in a church. I grew up in a Southern Baptist church. I came out to California in 2003 to get a degree in film and video production and graduated 2006, did some various freelance jobs. And then around 2010, I went back home for the first time in 7 years and stayed there for a long period of time. I had been there obviously for short vacations or trips and stuff like that. But when I went back and stayed there for a few months, I just suddenly saw how inundated everything is with religion out there. You're listening to the radio, and during the Christmas season, they're not just saying Merry Christmas. They're saying, let's remember Jesus is the reason for this season. And these are on secular radio stations advertising local stores. They're not church advertisements. They're not any specifically religiously based radio stations. It's just out there in everyday world. So it was a little bit of a culture shock going back to that. The reason I originally decided to make this movie was because I had read a statistic that said 47% of people disbelieve in evolution, which I think this was a couple of years ago. I'm sorry. 47% was the only amount that accepted evolution. And that just blew my mind also. I mean, I thought it was a well-established fact, and I thought that the creationists you hear about were a fringe group, but that kind of just cemented that it's not the fringe, it's the mainstream Christianity. So I think I always had discussions with friends just talking about my beliefs as a non-believer, how I ground morality and how I ground meaning and all these other topics. And I thought, well, if my friends really don't know this information, probably the everyday person doesn't know it. So initially I set out to make a documentary that was all about meaning and morality and where do we find just a sense of majesty in life. But as I made that movie and was talking with these people, I found out that there was a much larger story about these atheists who are out there fighting in society, fighting for things like separation of church and state, or fighting for things like creationism not being taught in schools, or just how people use the Bible as a bully pulpit and say, I'm going to deny you your civil rights because it goes against what the 2,000-year-old book says. Just the combination of all these things, as we were making the movie, we decided to make it more about that. The reason people should come out and be atheists in society. The reason why so many people say, why is atheism something you're passionate about if it's a negative? If it's not something you are, if it's just something you're not, why do you make a big deal of it at all? So the movie really goes to show what atheism is, who atheists are, and why it really is important in society.
Awesome, man. Well said. I think you already answered my question number 2, so I won't go into that, which was, what do you hope to accomplish from making this documentary, Scarlet Letter? So if you have anything else to say on that, but I think you already covered that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So.
I would just like to see more atheists who are maybe on the fence, or maybe don't even use that word, who might call themselves secular humanist or agnostic or something like that, reevaluate their stance. And maybe if they aren't passionate about their non-belief, maybe this will give them some reasons to be.
No, I totally agree with you, no doubt, hands down. My last question is, and we'll move over to Matthew's question is, I had a couple people ask me, and I checked over your website, but I couldn't find anything. I know you're in the process of getting the video put together and everything, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is there a release date that you have in mind? Is there a release date? And what goals are you trying to achieve, or have you achieved when it comes down to publication or any kind of deals that you have for the documentary? Is there any right now in the release date?
Yeah, that's a really great question.
Thanks.
Right now we're hoping to get it released in spring of 2014, so within the next few months. What we're trying to do is we are going to be submitting it to film festivals in the traditional route. We're also doing self-distribution, so we're creating the DVDs and we're going to be putting those out available for Amazon or on our website directly. And we're also been in contact with a whole bunch of different secular organizations all across the country, places like Skepticon or Logicon, or these other, the San Francisco Atheist Film Festival, places that kind of showcase these types of movies. So we're hoping to get it out there, so to get the most amount of eyes on it as possible. And just wherever it goes from there, we'll see.
No, absolutely. You definitely got our support here at Skeptic Event Show, because we've talked about a little bit here and there about your at least teasers or your trailers, and we love the idea because it is. I got fired my job at least 3 years ago. I got fired for being an atheist. They looked at my Facebook, my personal Facebook, seeing I was posting all these anti-God, anti-religious, and they found my YouTube channel, and I got fired. I caught them. The evidence. They didn't say that's the reason why they got rid of me, but of course, this segment's not about me. But I'm done right now, so I'm going to hand this over to Matthew. Matthew, go ahead.
No, I just want to pick up on that.
Oh, sure. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I hear stories about that all the time. I hear about people who are teachers and are afraid to come out about their non-belief because of the repercussions it will have. I hear, my fiance is a therapist, and she was talking with a client, and her client was saying, somehow got on the topic of devil worshippers, and how devil worshippers go and they sacrifice kittens on Halloween, or they'll sacrifice a child on Christmas Eve, but at least they believe in something. It's just so bizarre that this idea of belief in a higher power is somehow equated with goodness. Like, it's better to be a devil worshiper than it is to be an atheist, which is just...
Real quick, I want to
strange.
bring this up. This is a comment in the chat real quick, and we'll get over to Matthew here. Is Jack Ketch said here, we're not trying to convert people to atheism. At least I'm not. I would say I would agree with that. But we're trying to convert people to rationalism, being rational, being a skeptic. Would you agree with that or no?
I agree with that. I also think, though, that there's a bit of confusion when it comes to definitions.
Yes.
And I think that if you just simply say that I don't have a belief and I consider myself to be an atheist, that is as direct as you can possibly be about your beliefs. And I think that honesty is something that should be valued. Not everybody in every kind of situation can come out and be that direct, but I do understand the point of rationality is ultimately the end goal, and I completely agree with that. But I think the best way to become rational is to kind of pull up these weeds of irrationality. And to do that, you kind of have to give up some of this magical thinking.
No, I totally agree. I'm going to give it over to Matthew, but like I said before, which I'm going to make this live, is I love your tree. Good tree. Nice solstice tree or a Christmas tree, whatever you want to, I don't know what you call it, but yeah. Either or, even though they hijacked it, but God. Matthew.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you prefer John or JP?
Well, in public life, I go by John. I grew up as JP, and then so on the web, I still go by JP, but there is some confusion there. But yeah, either one, whatever you prefer.
All right. Well, since we've been calling you John so far, I'll continue with that. I was looking over the list of people who are involved in your movie, and I noticed Franz de Waal. He's a hero of mine, and I was wondering if you had a chance to talk to him about his research.
In what regard?
Well, related to the movie, or just in general, is that something that I can look forward to in the movie? Is him talking about how his studies are showing evidence of morality arising naturally, or if he more was focusing on the book that he wrote?
He was indeed talking about morality, and he was saying that morality comes about through our evolutionary processes, and he thinks the most compelling evidence for this is the fact that you see morality in other species. You see chimpanzees being moral in family units. You see bonobos being terrifically moral. One of the most stable animal societies there is are the bonobos. So he also thinks that morality is deeply ingrained within us, and you have these philosophers who try to come up with these moral systems that are based off of axioms or rules or whatever, and he says all that's really unnecessary because it's just ingrained into who we are.
I'm very impressed with his work. So that above all else is what's really making me look forward to your film. But it looks like you've got a really great project that you've set up, and I applaud you for that, and I can't wait to see it.
Thank you. Yeah, Franz de Waal, he was a joy to talk to. He was really great. He's a lot of people's favorite person in the movie who have seen it.
Good. I can't wait. My next question is for you personally. How would you describe your own views on religion or theism, just in general?
Yeah, I don't think religion is, this goes kind of against what I was saying earlier, but I don't think religion is necessarily bad in and of itself. I think that religion can be fine if it gives a person hope, or if they keep it as a philosophical way of living for themselves. My only complaint is when they take it into a public sphere and try using their religious beliefs as a bully pulpit in which they can then control what other people do or say.